Well, hello there, everybody. Dennis Prager and Julie Hartman. That's why it's called Dennis and Julie. Not exactly. We didn't pay anybody big bucks to come up with the name. Let's be honest. It's like the Dennis Prager Show.
Do you remember some iterations of names that we went through?
No.
You wanted to call it Two Generations or Generations or something.
Did. Yes,
remember
I
that?
had thought. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's true.
Or white hair and blonde hair.
I think someone wanted...
That's good. White and blonde. I said Beauty and the Beast. You said Beauty and the Beast? Sean says...
You're the beauty, I'm the beast.
I took it as if it was mine. You know, he insults me regularly, which means he really, really likes me.
I have to tell the audience what my mom said.
Oh, God, this is funny. This is beyond belief.
My mom said to me the other day, she goes, Julie, I know how much you like Sean, but Dennis is so mean to him. Why doesn't Dennis like him? And I thought it was so funny. She didn't, I guess, pick up on the sarcasm. You would say there is no sarcasm.
I think that is so adorable that your mother thinks I am mean to Sean.
She's like, Sean doesn't deserve that. Tell Dennis to be nicer.
Well, first of all, that's incorrect. He does deserve it. But I am not mean to Sean. By the way, if you got to admit, I've mentioned this in the past, I'm certainly on my own show, it is a phenomenon that women do not engage in this at all, and men engage. This is probably new to you, because you have not been among men.
We've talked about this on the show.
You went to an all-girls school. Mm-hmm. You obviously, all your roommates at Harvard were girls. So you don't know how men interact when they're with each other. This is like revelatory to you.
No, again, you cannot, we've said this before, but you cannot do it among women. And now that I look back, in high school, we never ribbed each other. Or in my dorm, we never did it. Well, certainly not the way we do, where, just sheer outright insults are taken as, oh, he really likes me. So I had a thought here. Oh my gosh.
So yes. But I'm going to raise an interesting issue with it.
Okay.
So folks, just so you'll know, I've worn glasses since like 11.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, you're going to get a kick out of this. This is an insight into my father, who was a remarkable man and a tough father. There's no question. But he stopped being tough when I turned 14, and I bless him for it. But he was very tough till then. So one of his mottos was, for example, when I would be in pain, or my brother would be in pain, you know what he would say to us? He was like the opposite of a helicopter parent. I don't know what the opposite of, he was a torpedo parent.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So his motto was, if you were in pain, it's only pain. Nobody ever died from pain.
Oh, gosh. Of course they have.
Well, okay.
What is he saying?
Okay. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's only pain.
Yeah, really?
By the way, it is better to be raised with it's only pain than, oh my God, are you okay? Oh, let me fix that. Okay. Anyway. So the other motto was, or an other motto, never take the easy way out. And he just drilled that into me. But he took it to a ridiculous extreme. So this reminds me, and I'll get to my point in a moment. So when I first got glasses at about 11 years of age, the doctor, which they used to say this, which was really stupid, but it is what it is.
By the way, what's an eye doctor called?
Ophthalmologist.
Really got to learn this stuff.
OPH. Very few people.
Those of you who don't understand the reference, I'm glad you don't. Let's just put it that way.
You can offer it if you like.
Just watch the last episode and you'll get...
Okay.
See, this is how we entice people to watch. Anyway, go on.
So, the doctor said to me and one of my parents who came with me to the doctor, okay, here are your glasses. You should use them for reading and watching television. Now, when you think this was anyone in the baby boomer generation who got glasses, I am sure can relate to this. This was a common statement, but when you think about it, it's idiotic. The TV is far away and the reading is close. So when wouldn't you wear your glasses? Correct?
Yeah,
what does that mean? It's for TV and reading. It's so absurd. So I, oddly enough, would wear them all the time since I preferred seeing clearly to not seeing clearly. And my father said to me, you know, you're wearing them all the time. You're taking the easy way out.
You're not training your eyes to see.
Yeah, the key was I was taking the easy way out. Even my older brother cracked up when he heard that. And he usually was supportive of my parents. Eventually he came around to my side and did a great deal of good for me. But in any event, I always think about that. I took the easy way out by wearing my glasses all the time.
I've got to tell you, I have the same view where, and I make fun of myself for this. I say, in Julie world, why would you take the easy way if you could take the hard way? And the answer is, I think that there's something deceptive about the easy way.
But it is true. You know, that view is correct.
It is and it isn't. I mean, I sometimes take it to an extreme.
Oh, right. Okay. There isn't anything good that can't be taken to an extreme. You could drink too much water. I'm not joking about that. You can drink too much water. But as a general rule, the easy way out is usually not the better way out. Now, so back to the glasses. So folks, here's a tiny story here. So I experiment with glasses because I have to wear them anyway. I take the easy way out. I wear glasses all the time. So I have these two pair of glasses. So these are these red glasses. Here they are. Hi, everybody. And I see better with them because the prescription was done better on these glasses, but that's not here or there. So you said you like me in these more, right? Which interestingly matters to me. So I'm raising an interesting issue, vanity. I told you, it triggered an actually serious issue. The question of vanity. What does it mean to be vain? So I care how I look. I think that's a good thing. The notion, when people are accused, have you ever heard that she's vain or he's vain? What does that mean to you?
I've heard it less nowadays, interestingly. But to me, it means someone who predicates their entire self-worth or personality off of affect or the way that they appear to others.
Oh, you read it as really an intense critique.
Yes. I read it as not just the external, but the internal. A vain person is someone who says...
It's everything.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Who tries to make it seem like they're reading sophisticated books, for instance, when they really haven't read the book. I think that's a vain person.
So that's interesting. I've always associated vanity with looks, with preoccupation with how you look.
Well, I mean,
I don't know who. You may be right.
Well, the reason why I use that example of a person acting like they're sophisticated or they're reading these intense books when they aren't, that is a way of trying to look different than how you actually are. That's an effort to...
Look up vain, Sean. I'm very curious what the dictionary says.
I'm sure the dictionary makes it more about appearances.
No,
but
you've extrapolated it.
Yes, and I've heard it used colloquially to mean deeper than just your looks.
Yeah, so that's why I'm curious if... God, is he unhelpful? Did you hear what he said?
No. What did he say?
The organic vessel that carries blood from one organ to another. That's what he got for vain.
You guys, all they do is joke all day in this office.
Don't look at me.
Oh yeah, don't look at you. Oh my gosh. I have to
Okay, yeah.
I have to civilize them before the show. They will keep going and going.
I will admit, that was funny.
Oh my God, you gave him a compliment. Are you okay?
It bothers me. I did compliment him. It does bother me. Yeah. Merriam-Webster definition, yeah? Oh, having or showing excessive pride in one's appearance or achievements.
Look who was right.
I like that.
I know, isn't it so not me?
I didn't say a word while you did that. I just thought it was precious. The person who's walking around with Dostoevsky in order to make an impression, that's what you were implying. Yes. I never would say that's vain. I would say it's a facade. Yeah.
No, there are other words that I would use before vain, but when you raise the issue.
But let's get back to the first definition and the one mostly used about looks. So when I hear somebody is accused, a man or a woman, of being vain, I have almost always assumed it was not a valid critique.
I disagree.
Okay, yeah, so I'll make my case, and then you make yours. I have heard it about people. Let's say a woman, she looks in the mirror to see how she looks, and then they would think she does it excessively. And I don't know what excessively even means. Is it 10 times a day? Is it 3 times a day? Is it 30 times a day? I will say for the record, I think it's a good thing if both sexes care how they look. Can you care too much? Of course you can. As I said, you could drink too much water. I mean, there is nothing that can't be done in excess. I think you could pray too much, to be honest. Okay, why aren't you out there making a better world? You're sitting and praying all day. At a certain point, I think is too much. Others will disagree. That's fine. But there's nothing you can't do too much, it would seem. You could read too much because you're not engaging with people. So, but the dismissal of somebody for caring how they look, I'll give one final example. My mother, did you ever see a picture of my mother? Okay, I'll show you when you come over to the house next time. So my mother was beautiful till she died. And I'm not saying this because she was my mother. I'll prove it to you with pictures, and you could ask Sue, my wife, who knew her. And she died at 89. My mother, and I got great hair from her. I got beautiful white hair. Her hair was, and her complexion, she looked like she had plastic surgery and never did. That's how good her
plastic
complexion.
Surgery, because there's bad plastic surgery.
No, that's correct. Good. She had 0 wrinkles. I mean, she was a phenomenon.
What was her secret? Genetics?
Genetics, correct. But she dressed up every day. She looked beautiful.
It's like my mom.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I admired my mother, and my father deeply appreciated this. His screensaver was "I love you, Hindi." That was his nickname for her.
Aww.
Yeah.
She was Hilda, right?
Yeah.
And so Max.
Hilda and Max, and he called her Hindi. And so I learned to appreciate when a woman in particular, but men as well, care about how they look. Go ahead.
I do too. And my mother, like your mother, is a gorgeous woman, and she really glams herself up with good jewelry, good clothes. She doesn't put on, copious amounts of makeup, but she'll put on lipstick and mascara, and she's very put together. Anyone who knows my mom knows that to be true. And growing up, she would always say to me, "I never want to embarrass you. When I pick you up from school, or when I drop you off at swim practice, or when your friends see me, if they come over to the house, I always want to look good because I don't want to embarrass you." So I agree with you, Dennis, that caring about your appearance is not a bad thing. It shows that you have self-respect, and to my mother's point, it shows that you have respect for your family. But I can see why we may think differently on this issue, because you're probably thinking of women of a previous generation who were called vain, and perhaps that was an unfair charge. The people in my generation, the women in my generation who are called vain, deserve to be called vain, because it's not that they are looking in the mirror 3 times a day, as I do, as any woman does, or even 8 or 10 times a day. The women my age, or generally sort of in my cohort, are obsessive about it. They are obsessive about their weight. They're obsessive about their clothes. And it's all because, in my view, it's because of social media. They are obsessively trying to curate an image of perfection and of glamour of themselves.
So,
and that's
okay.
That's why I think it's a legitimate charge.
Fair. I have no doubt that exists. I have no doubt. I know it exists.
And not everyone, by the way. Not everyone, obviously.
My read, though, about women of your generation is different. I would say they appear to me as less preoccupied with how they look than they should be.
Well, that's interesting. You know, as I was
they walk around almost in pajamas. I mean, in many cases, I am stunned at how little they seem to care about dressing nicely.
You're right. And as I was talking, I had the thought that the pendulum has sort of swung in the other direction. Like 5 years ago, I guess it's not totally accurate for me to say that people my age continue to care about their look so much, because now it used to be in vogue to care excessively about your appearance. Now the pendulum has swung in the other direction, right, where it's cool to be seen as like earthy and a little dirty and have chipped, we talked about this a few episodes ago, have chipped nails and untamed hair.
And an advertisement of I don't care what I wear.
Yes.
Why would I want to appear attractive, let alone even sexy? And I don't mean ridiculously so.
So here's where my argument comes full circle, though. I think those people are vain, because they're not vain in the conventional way where they care about looking good. They're vain in an unconventional way where they care about looking bad, but the point is they're still caring so much. The person who has untamed hair, I can promise you, checked themselves out in the mirror to make sure that their hair was untamed so they looked earthy and like a Cal Berkeley Birkenstock girl. It's a vanity, but literally dressed up differently.
Well, then let me say I prefer the original vanity.
Yes, I understand that. History repeats itself, and we're seeing that play out right now with inflation. When Jimmy Carter took office in the late 1970s, gold sold for $140 an ounce. By 1980, the price of gold topped out at $870 an ounce. If today's market performs like it did when Carter was in office, the price of gold could skyrocket from $1,800 an ounce to $9,300 an ounce. This is Julie Hartman for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Don't miss out on a great opportunity to purchase precious metals while still the prices are stable. If history repeats itself, we may see a run on gold, silver, and platinum that may drive up prices. Be smart and buy now. At AmFed, you're dealing with specialists who provide you with personalized attention, honest information, and sound advice. You won't be pressured into buying outrageously priced so-called collectible coins or anything that you don't need. Take advantage of today's prices. AmFed Coin and Bullion, 1-800-211-7694. AmericanFederal.com. That's AmericanFederal.com.
Having said that, explain to me something. I'm not sure it has an explanation. So, and I admit this is a generational issue, because this was not, when I was your age, nobody wore ripped jeans. Mm-hmm. Do you have an explanation for why that is appealing? I don't.
This is not especially profound, but I just think it looks young. And I mean, there's gradations of ripped jeans.
Well, no, forget. But the normal,
like tattered jeans, I think are
all right.
Weird.
So, by the way, I'm not attacking them. This is not a critique.
I know it's not. I know it's not.
It's a befuddlement. It has to have an origin. So you see it, and your first word was young. So if a 45-year-old woman wore ripped jeans,
I would find that to be odd.
Is there anything else a 45-year-old woman could wear that you would find odd? If she wore a shorter skirt and she had the legs to do it, let's say. That wouldn't be odd. In other words,
it would depend on the length. Like a really short mini
obviously.
Skirt, no.
Okay.
But a short skirt, no.
Right, exactly. So the only reason I ask is, can you think of anything else that is solely in the province of a young woman in clothing?
You mean that a
other than
40-year-old shouldn't wear?
Yes.
I do think it looks a bit undignified when an older, not that 40's old, but when an older woman wears something that's really like tight skinned or shows a lot of their breasts, or sometimes, and this shows that we live in LA because I never saw this when I lived in Boston, but in LA sometimes I'll see older women wearing crop tops. I think that's undignified. I would not do that when I'm that age.
So crop tops and
ripped
jeans.
I mean, a little bit, like a little tear in the jeans to make it look edgy is fine.
Right.
But like tattered jeans, that's odd to me. That's odd that anyone would wear them.
Now, you have a first-class mind, so I'm curious, putting you on the spot, not in a bad way, just having to think spontaneously right now. What is the origin of a torn jean? Is it... It's got to have... It can't just be... I agree that it now means I'm young. So it has no larger meaning. But it had to begin as having, it had to resonate with people to catch on. So is it, I'm not rich?
Mm-hmm. I think actually it harkens back to the affect conversation or the vanity conversation. I think it's an attempt to, maybe it came from the place of making it seem like you literally tore them as you were walking out of a room and your jeans got caught on the door handle and they tore. Maybe it was this way of making you look busy or like you didn't care so much about your appearance that you were wearing this torn jean, and it was just cool that you didn't care to go patch it up and you continued about your day wearing it. I don't know. That's my speculation. I have no idea.
I never thought to ask this, or even, I never thought about this, but I'm curious. If you saw a guy, men wear jeans and women wear jeans. If a guy,
disqualified as far as dating me. No, if you are a guy wearing a ripped jean, no.
So this is very interesting.
It is.
Did you ever see a guy in ripped jeans?
Yes. Ugh.
You're kidding.
Yeah, of course, Dennis. Have you ever been to the Venice Beach boardwalk? Have you ever been out in LA?
So I will go on record as saying, if a guy wears ripped jeans, my assumption is his masculinity level is between 1 and 2 on a scale of 100.
Oh gosh.
You agree?
Totally. If a guy showed up wearing ripped jeans on a date, I think I would stand up and walk out.
Would you leave him your credit card to pay?
We wouldn't order anything.
You have a couple of
I would just walk out.
Theories in the booth? All right, let's hear them, yeah?
We should do a jingle. Theories in the booth, da-da. What?
That is bizarre. There's a big underground, what is it? Used Levi market in Japan. Okay, I think that is so bizarre. Okay, yeah, what is the other theory? It came out of the music scene, punk rock. Okay, that may be. Okay, that's true. Which was the anti-order world, the overthrowing. It's stodgy to wear regular pants. Mm-hmm. So what was my original one? Oh, it was anti-wealth. Yeah. I look at how poor I am.
Yeah, I don't think it's that.
No.
I think it's anti-conventionality, anti-tradition.
That's right.
And as I was
anti-conventionality,
trying to, but perhaps not eloquently say earlier, it's trying to look casual and cool and uncaring. The ultimate irony is you take a perfectly fine pair of jeans and then you rip them to make them look ripped. So it's the dead opposite of being casual.
It's really interesting that there really is a gender-based wearing of this.
This is fascinating, and I can't...
It never occurred to me till we discussed it
I can't really figure... I'm sure with more thought, hopefully I'll come to something, but right now I can't really think of why it is that I'm so repulsed by men wearing them, but women can't.
Part of it might be... This is why this is so interesting to me. Look, it's the human condition. I'm fascinated by it. So when a woman wears ripped jeans, you see part of her leg. I mean, it's just a fact. And the bigger the rip, the more of her leg you see. Showing your body is feminine. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it is. And it's not masculine for a man to do that.
relatedly, and this could be perceived as a bold or perhaps unfair statement, but bear with me. I don't like it when men wear casual clothes. I tend to see them as...
What does that mean?
I'm not saying that I want men to wear suits and ties all day, though I do love when they do. I think it looks great. But sometimes when I see like a guy wearing board shorts and a kind of loose, plain shirt, I just think, ugh.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I just...
You may be in a minority of women
I probably
your age.
am.
I don't know.
Oh, women my age?
Yeah, your age.
Oh, I'm like the only one that would probably think this way.
Interesting.
I thought you were going to say women generally. I bet I'm in the minority.
So, by the way, I happen to think this is actually an important discussion. The whole thing is, but what I'm about to say is particularly important. I have broadcast, I have written about the incredible significance of clothing. And we live in the age of foolishness, the opposite of wisdom, thinks that it is not important. And by the way, among my biggest supporters in America are religious Christians, are evangelical Christians, traditional Catholics, practicing Mormons, and yet I get amazing amount of pushback when I say you should dress up to go to church. Did you know this? Did I ever tell you this?
It's like
It's fascinating.
The reason why, like, when you said that you had to do an hour on why it's important to keep the myth of Santa alive for children, my jaw dropped that you even had to do that. You get pushback for saying that?
That is why I know more about life than most people who would, let's say, write a Bible commentary. It's not that I know more Bible than they. Many of them know more Bible than I. But I interact with humanity more than they do. My talk show is my human laboratory.
I love it when you say that.
And it's the truth. I would never know this. If you would have asked me without having a talk show, do half the Christians of this country think it's irrelevant what you wear to church? What are you, nuts? Of course they think you should have your Sunday best for Sunday church. That's what it was called, Sunday best. It's not a phrase you probably ever heard. Correct?
I've heard it, but
now you know what it is.
Yes.
You wore your Sunday best on Sunday because it was church day. And Christian after Christian, oddly enough, it's the only arena where Jews are more conservative than Christians. Jews do dress up for synagogue, even liberal Jews. Anyway, the ones who go to synagogue anyway, they call up and they say, God doesn't care how you dress, what you wear to church. And I'm thinking, wow, we have a different conception of God. God doesn't care? You mean if you wear flip-flops to church, or you wear a jacket and tie to church, or a lovely skirt and blouse, God doesn't give a damn? Because Jesus wore sandals. Okay, this is Sean the theologian chiming in. This is what I have to live
Theories
with.
from the box.
Yes, okay. If Jesus, it would be interesting, because what would Jesus do is a very famous Christian phrase, WWJD. So if Jesus came back, by the way, I used to ask this question. We're going on a slight tangent. We'll get right back
welcome to
clothing.
Dennis and Julie.
That's right. You'll love this. So my first show was with priests, ministers, and rabbis every week, different ones every week. So and callers. So callers would often ask the Christian clergy, the Catholic and the Protestant, if Jesus came back, where would he go to services? And every single Catholic and Protestant, liberal or traditional, said to a synagogue. Well, obviously.
As you say, Jesus never read the New Testament.
That's right.
That blew my mind when you said that.
Yeah. People know it to be true, but they never think it through. So, if Jesus came back, would he say God doesn't? Now, he might. It's an interesting question. Yet,
would he say what? God doesn't care about your clothing?
Yeah, right.
He would probably say...
But wait.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
I'm so passionate on
no,
this.
No, I shouldn't interrupt.
No. You never. It's a non-issue. You never interrupt. Would the Christian who says God doesn't care what you wear to church, then say, all the Christians who preceded me in America were wrong. They all thought God did care. Either you're right or they're right.
Mm-hmm. I think Jesus would say that God doesn't care about your clothing as much as he cares about other things. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about your clothing at all, because as I said when I was talking about my mom, it's respect for other people.
That's the whole point.
And, we've probably talked about it on this program, but the point that we brought up earlier of the in vogue trend nowadays where people like to look a bit dirty or untamed or, as I said earlier, earthy. I've thought a lot about why that is. And I think that a lot of it is to give a giant FU to civilization.
Absolutely.
I think it's like they want to seem abrasive and in your face.
Nonconformist.
Yes, like I am, showing my gut out with my belly button piercing and my hair, hasn't been washed in days and my armpit hair's coming out and like you can't do anything about it. It's just a big act of defiance. It's an FU to civilization. It's exactly what it is. So when you dress nicely, it's the opposite of an FU to civilization. You're showing that you have respect for
and identify with the past.
Yes, and that you have a sense of duty to the person walking next to you on the street that you don't even know. You have a sense of duty to not be abrasive to their eyes and to seem like a responsible, pulled together citizen.
I think that's the message.
It's just as important as holding open a door for someone
I think
or
that's why
not littering.
The tattoo phenomenon began. I am dissociating from the X generation, from the order is it, but like the ripped jeans, it takes on a life of its own.
I've worn ripped jeans before. I mean, very lightly ripped, but yeah, I've worn them. I think they're cool.
Ripped jean. Oh, yeah. I wasn't complaining. I know you aren't. I was simply noting.
But that's also kind of an act of defiance.
I've come on a very interesting. John asked me an interesting question. Should men wear ties to baseball games? I want to confront that in a moment, but I did want to say something else, but I'll answer that first. If you look, I don't know if you've ever seen this. You should look on the internet for photos. Just put in baseball game 1955.
Oh, it's like from a. It's like your
people. So this is critical. Men and women dressed better, far better, for baseball games in the 1950s than for church today.
My dad told me recently that when he was younger and he would get on a plane, he would wear a jacket and tie.
I remember when my mother sent me. I was 7 years old. Did you know this? My parents put me on an airplane when I was 7, and they didn't have any rules then, none. I went on the plane like any 50-year-old went on the plane. Nobody took care of me. No forms were filled out. The flight attendants paid no attention.
I would kill to see, not kill. I would love to see a video of 7-year-old Dennis just to see what you look, but sitting on a plane being adulty. Oh my gosh.
All right, I'll show you how adulty. This is
how.
If anyone were to ask, what were you like as a kid? Here is the story I will tell. So my parents sent me for 6 weeks at a time to my beloved Aunt Chippy, one of my favorite relatives. I adored her. She lived in Miami, well before Miami was anything.
Oh, I think you told this on this program.
I did? Oh, I hate repeating.
No, it's okay. I mean, right. I can't even honestly remember a lot of the story. Okay.
So
she showed you a lot of affection, right? Whereas your
totally. That's right. Yes, correct. She really loved me up. So I loved being with her 6 weeks, which is amazing that my parents sent me, but I'm thrilled they did. Anyway, I was 7 years old, flew alone, flew back alone. So there were two great parts to this story. I arrive at the airport in New York, and it was called Idlewild. This is before it was even called Kennedy. And I arrived there, and my parents are not there.
What? Did they forget about you?
No, they came late. Which is, by the way,
my gosh.
I don't hold this against them.
I know you don't, but
all.
with all due respect to them, really?
Yes. It's precious. This story encapsulates my early life. But the highlight is coming up. So they're late. I didn't give a damn. It meant nothing to me. I got my own luggage, and then I got a porter to carry my luggage. As they came in, I was tipping the porter. I was a 7-year-old giving the guy a tip.
Oh my gosh. Dennis, what the heck?
Yeah. I was Mr. Independent at birth.
I love your attitude. I mean, to state the obvious, there would be so many people today who would go, my parents didn't show me any love. They didn't pick me. And you just laugh at it.
I totally.
That's so the right, healthy attitude.
Oh, of course it is. Everybody on earth can be annoyed with their parents as an adult. Everybody on earth is annoyed when they're a kid at some point. If you're never annoyed with your parent when you're a kid, they're not doing a good job. That's a rule. So, but when you grow up, it's time to grow up. Hello. You were raised by mortal human beings, not by gods. They had issues like you have issues. I mean, it is a wonder that anybody ends up healthy, since we're all raised by human beings, and human beings are so flawed.
I'd like to introduce you to Monorail, America's investment app that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. Monorail is an investment and savings app that is made for patriots by patriots. It doesn't matter whether you're an Apple fan or if you prefer Android, Monorail is available in both environments and online at monorail.com. Monorail is safer for users with bank-level encryption and biometrics. Your money is protected with Monorail through the Securities Investor Protection Corporation and the FDIC. No matter how you engage with Monorail, you're getting the security and safety that you need, whether you're adding funds to your investment account, looking to buy a stock, or putting money aside for future purchases. With Monorail, you can put your money where it matters and utilize the economic power that built this country. Don't go somewhere else to trade stocks. Monorail gives you the freedom to purchase whole or fractional shares in companies that you believe in. It only takes 5 minutes to download the app and to set it up. Join the pro-America money movement. Join Monorail. It's a really interesting point. I want to get back to this clothes thing, but I'll just say quickly that I had dinner with 2 high school friends last night, and we were reflecting on the fact that because we just graduated from college and we've launched into quote unquote the real world, we're all having a lot of these reflections about the way that we were raised and the good things our parents did and the bad things. And it's just, when you're younger, you don't think in those terms. You don't think, oh, they're just trying to do their best, or they're probably making some mistakes.
Someone we both know, Dr. Stephen Marmer, my dear friend and a great psychiatrist, he has taught me the term splitting.
Oh, what is that?
Yes. So I can't fully define it, but it applies to I think I can define it. Where you think a person is either perfect or awful. And that's what children do to parents. They're either perfect or they're horrible. Mm-hmm. It's like the first time your parent says, don't curse, don't curse, don't curse. Then somebody cuts them off and they go, oh, and then they use an expletive. Oh, you're a hypocrite. Fraud. You are such a phony. What, fraud?
Fraud.
Yes, exactly. That's splitting. Whereas one of my favorite realizations, and it's amazing to me that I didn't have this earlier, is you'll love this line, and I developed it just in the last 5 years. Everyone is a package.
We've discussed this.
It's so big.
It is. It's everything. Everyone is a package.
Everyone, of course. That's everyone, every nation, every religion. If you want perfection, and people do, and that's childish. That's what the left does. That's why they're children. Every leftist is a child. Not every liberal, not every conservative, but every leftist is a child, because America is imperfect. It stinks. That's it. That's their stupid, immature view of the country. Of course, it's imperfect. It's made up of human beings. So, you measure it versus other nations, not against your childish perception of perfection. But that's what we do to parents. But
people don't do it to themselves. They don't do the splitting with themselves.
They accept their flaw. Yeah,
I do it with myself. I don't do it with my parents. But when you just said it, I thought, oh my gosh, that's me.
Just for the record, I know that she does it.
I do. I was thinking that yesterday. I either think I'm actually, no, I never think I'm so great. But the way I think of myself in my mind is I'm either succeeding and killing it,
or utterly failing,
or I'm beyond delinquent, in the gutter, terrible, wretched, shouldn't show my face, awful.
It is interesting.
I don't do that with other people, though.
Well, that's good, but you shouldn't do it with yourself.
I know. I'm working on it.
I'm surprised then, in light of your having that you would ever have anything published, because you'll always think, oh my God, I need to edit it more.
Human beings are complicated. It's a good point. I don't know how.
By the way, it is true for my books. I will say, at a given point, I just say to myself, I know it could be better. I have to send it in. I will never write a book. Mm-hmm.
And there also comes a point where by making it better, you actually make it worse. Because and this is what I'm realizing with my broadcast, because I care so much about giving people a fact-rich analysis of the news. As important as facts and, statistics and all of that is, a story component and having vitality to the message that you're trying to give, I think is more important than throwing a million facts at people.
Well,
so there's a risk when you keep working on something, you lose the soul of the piece.
Well, I will tell you that I love you when you throw facts, because I want to learn and learn and learn and learn. And he said into my earphones, she's excellent. It's a gift, he said.
I'm not going to stop doing it, because it's just how I operate.
Right. You'll have to figure out a happy medium. But I will say, if I'm not learning either insight or facts from a talk show host, I don't listen.
Well, that's one of the things that I hate when I'm listening to other people. I hate when I sense that they are trying to waste or kill time.
Exactly.
That drives me nuts. And I know that sometimes I take it to an extreme, because I just pack in so much.
I love your extreme.
I never ever want a listener of mine to think that I'm BSing them. I want to put as many facts in their arsenal, because I've spent hours and hours digging through and finding these facts, and I want to serve it up on a platter to people to make it easy, so when they go out into the world and they have a debate at the dinner table with some leftist freak,
talk shows,
they can pull it out. Yes. What about talk shows?
I interrupted you then.
How dare you? I'm leaving.
If you leave, then it's just the Dennis and broadcast.
The Dennis and Sean and Rixie and everyone from the booth.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. So I raised the issue with my listeners. I'm thinking of adding a fourth dedicated hour. Mm-hmm. I have male, female. I have happiness. I have ultimate issues hour. And I'm thinking of having an hour on religion every week.
I think it is a brilliant idea.
I think so, because I keep telling people, without it, we're doomed.
You have to. You absolutely have to.
And then I ignore it. I'm not giving you the teachings, and I could just read from my rational Bible.
I actually can't believe you haven't done it before.
I know.
But I mean, it makes it, because you infuse it, obviously.
Ultimate Issues Hour sometimes touches on it, but in the Ultimate Issues Hour, I don't teach religion. I teach the importance of religion. That's not the same thing.
I would love to see you talk about the New Testament too in that.
Well, okay, so I
religion hour.
Okay, I'll tell you why I don't, and I think it's very important that that I say this. I think people should learn about a religion from those who believe in it, from those who practice it. The outsider can be sympathetic, empathetic, fair-minded, but I'm trying to think of an analogy. That was the reason for my silence here. Can somebody who doesn't love classical music teach classical music? I'm not sure. They can teach, well, you know, the relative minor of C major is A minor. Okay, they could teach you, you know, how music is constructed, or that Beethoven took this theme from Mozart or Haydn. You know, they could do a whole host of things. But I want a Christian to teach me Christianity.
Point taken, but you, though you don't believe in Christianity, you have respect for it and reverence for it.
Great deal.
And you also have an astounding command of knowledge about it. So I think it would be, I'm not saying the whole time, but I think you should
I could
enlighten
see a
people.
Christian, even a Christian who really respects me and buys my Rational Bible series, saying or thinking or feeling, and they would all be legit, yeah, but he doesn't believe in it. How can I teach a teaching that, look, well, here's an interesting, so I'll make the case for you for a moment, even though I still believe that it should be left to Christians to teach Christianity, et cetera, et cetera. So when Jesus says, I am the way, what is it? I am the way, the light. Do you know the verse?
I don't.
Sean, get the verse for me, would you? I'm not good at quoting verses that I didn't learn in Hebrew. They're the ones I know from the Old Testament. And no one comes to the Father except through me. So I mean, Here, how do I deal with that as a non-Christian? No one comes to the Father except through me, or through this. I am the way and the truth and the light. The life, sorry. Right, no one comes to the Father except through me. I got it more or less. Okay, the second part anyway. So, John 4:16. Okay, so that is how Christians understand that if you do not believe in Christ, in Jesus Christ, you cannot be saved. And my dear Christian friends are not happy about it. They want me saved. They love me. They want everybody saved in the final analysis. But they have a lot of them have a real affection for me. I've done a lot of good work, even for Christianity. I brought a lot of people back to church, a lot of people. So they're not happy, but they are. I don't want to use the word stuck, but I guess they would even say, look, these are not my words, these are God's words. I didn't make this up. I am merely the deliverer of the news. If you don't believe in Christ, you can't be saved. But I don't know why that verse means that. So I would bring a different perspective with respect for the verse. But if we're going to take the Protestant idea of sola scriptura, only scripture, seriously, that each person reads the scripture and understands it to the best of his ability, and you don't have the mediating authority of the church, which is what Luther did ultimately, you read the scripture, end of issue. Why does no one comes to the Father except through the Son, or except through me? Why does that mean that you have to believe that in order to be saved?
I have the same view. I think it's that you should try to embody the values of Jesus.
Or even, I'll go further than that. That might be too generic. Let us say that's true. I am the conduit. I am the way to the Father. No one comes to the Father except through me. But he's not saying, and if you don't believe that, you go to hell. He's not. I don't think he's saying that.
Well, he's saying only.
I am the way to the Father.
Does he say only in that verse? Because if it's only, then it does imply that. I mean, not just imply. It means that there's no other way.
No one comes through the Father except through me.
No one except.
Right.
That's pretty stark to me.
So you think it means that, and
I think it's pretty absolutist. I don't think it leaves.
I agree, but whether I don't know why that the inevitable, why the exclusive interpretation of that verse is if you don't believe that, you are doomed. It's John 14:6. Wait a minute. What did you say originally? 6:14, 4:16, and it's 14:6.
Fired.
You should go to the punishment room. I mean, that is a major blow to the.
Okay.
We have a punishment room and we have a spider room. Remember when you were giving Sean the spider? I said, "Where are you going to put it?" And he said, "The spider room."
You can't talk while he's punished. I'm sorry. The people have to appreciate that we have standards on this show.
Was there a sound?
Oh, that's right. You don't hear. Only I do it. I forgot.
I didn't understand. Okay, I got that now.
Oh, yes. My apologies. No, she should not go. She should go to the earphones room. So, okay. Right. I am the way and the truth and the life. Right. No one comes to the Father except through me. Why do you think that can only mean that if you don't believe that, you go to hell?
Because of the no one and the except through me.
See, okay, so you may be right, and most Christians would certainly say you're right.
I mean,
but by the way,
believe that,
this is that's a separate issue. The question is not whether you believe it; it's whether that is what is Jesus meant.
I think that is.
Okay, fine. It also may be. So here is a perfect example. I read that if I were to ask 100 Buddhists, Muslims, Jews, Shintoists, here is a verse from the Christian Bible, the New Testament, and it is Jesus saying, "No one comes through the Father except through me." Do you believe that means that if you don't believe that, you go to hell? I bet you 80% would say, I don't see why it means that.
Why?
Because he is saying, I am the roadway to the Father. Whether you accept that or not, I don't know. It seems to me, and I'm not even, by the way, I'm not even trying to make the case because I'm not Christian. I'm trying. I have no issue if a Christian believes that. God bless you. The most of the finest people I know are Christians.
Right.
But I don't know why you grew up in a Christian world. You didn't go to church regularly, but you grew up in a Christian. So it is so taken for granted that's what that verse means. Mm-hmm. But I did not grow up in a Christian world.
Right.
And I know the Christian world holds you must believe in, well, at least, by the way, the Catholic Church does not hold that any longer.
Right.
Okay, but that's a separate issue. So, how did even, forget liberal popes like Francis, but how did Benedict, who was totally conservative, how would he argue, we can't say for certain if you're not a Christian, you're not saved? Because
I think he probably made the value. I mean, I have no idea, but if I were him, I would make the argument that, or is it if I were he? See, this is where I go back and edit.
If I were he, because
well, that's important.
Him has to be the object of a verb. and is not a verb that has an object.
Only you could give that great of an answer.
That's probably true, sadly.
MyPillow is excited to bring you their biggest bedding sale ever. For a limited time, get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. A set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. Get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more. All with the biggest discounts of the year happening now. They are also extending their money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2023, making them the perfect gifts for your friends, your family, and everyone you know. So go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code Hartman or call 1-800-566-6745 and you'll get big discounts on all MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shipping done now while quantities last. If I were he, I would make the argument that the verse should be taken to mean that you don't have to believe in the divinity of Christ, but you have to believe in, but you have to believe in my point, I shouldn't have phrased it as you don't have to believe X. I should just phrase it as it's an open-ended thing where you have to believe in the values, as opposed to the person being resurrected and being the Messiah.
I hear you. I think that I think it's too broad a read of that verse. All I'm saying is a Christian could say that is our belief, that the way to come to the Father is through the Son. And if you end up with the Father, it is through me. Mm-hmm. So I guess then the Christian would say, okay, so Julie was right. It means exactly what we have thought. If you don't believe that, then you don't get to the Father. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why he's saying that. He would have said, if you don't believe this, you don't get to the Father.
Well, that's an interesting argument about
that's not
the phrasing.
Verse. Yes, the phrasing is critical.
Look, God is quite overt about things that he wants or condemns.
Yes.
That's quite a compelling argument, because, he's very clear in just the first few verses of Genesis what's good and what's not good.
Yes, and maybe when you will die, you will realize that you get to the Father through me.
See, I think that is a purposely ambiguous statement, because I believe that you don't have to believe in Christ as the Messiah to be saved. I believe that you have to live according to the values of Christ to be saved.
I have a lot of issues with my fellow Jews, as is well known. So I will say, however, I even have issues with some aspects of traditional Judaism, although I'm a traditional Jew in most senses. But my reverence for Judaism emanates primarily, not exclusively, there are many arenas, from the fact that Judaism believes that God assesses you by your behavior. Mm-hmm. You can even be an atheist and go to heaven, and you could be a Jew and go to hell. And by the way, just for the Jews who are listening, and even for the non-Jews who think Jews don't believe in hell, that's a common statement. It's dishonest. We may not use the term, although there is a term, Gehinnom, but one of the 13 principles of the Jewish faith, as enunciated by the universally accepted Rambam Maimonides, 12th century, one of the 13 principles of the Jewish faith is that there is reward and punishment after death. So he doesn't use the words heaven and hell, but what does reward and punishment mean, heaven and hell? They're synonymous. So it's dishonest to say Judaism doesn't believe in hell. Judaism believes that Hitler is punished. And if you believe that, then you believe in hell. Is it eternal hell? I don't know. That's God's business, not mine. I can only say that if there isn't reward and punishment after this life, then God is either unjust or there is no God.
I was having a fascinating discussion over Christmas. See, I was about to call it Christmas break. You can see that I still use college lingo. There was no Christmas break. There was just Christmas. In college, you get the whole week or 2 weeks off.
They called it Christmas break? They didn't say.
Oh, that's true. No, they call it holiday break? They call it winter or holiday break, but colloquially, you call it Christmas break.
Okay.
Anyway, over my non-existent Christmas break, I had a very interesting discussion with someone about religion, and because this person is a staunch atheist, and I said to him, what incentive is there for people to behave well if there aren't religious values that are binding them, and there isn't an afterlife that rewards them for good behavior and punishes them for bad behavior? What did
he say?
He said societal, like a collective buy-in in society that you need to not...
Right, it shows how naive these people are. There's always a collective buy-in. But Nazi Germany had a collective buy-in. Communist Soviet Union had a collective buy-in, and the collective buy-in was evil.
It's quite a Western privileged person's position.
Well, it's a naive Western privileged person's position. What if the collective is bad? Then we're doomed, and that's exactly the case.
I wish I had responded that way. I think
Well, that is the answer.
That is the answer.
Yes.
I said, I think the way I responded
you either answer to God or the collective. That's exactly correct.
So that's a great way of putting it. It's true. How did we, I was just thinking as we were talking about the John verse, or is it the Luke verse?
No, John.
John. Only on Dennis and Julie. I'm not even trying to say it as a compliment to us, but it's just... Only on Dennis and Julie can we start off talking about ripped jeans, and then 20 minutes later we're in the depths of this discussion
the beauty, I'll tell you the beauty.
It's so fun. It's the way life should be.
It's also organic. It's not okay. Let's move on.
We have no idea what we're going to talk about ever.
The whole thing's unique. That's one of the reasons.
So I want to.
You didn't know. I said I'm going to talk about this. You had no idea what the hell I was going to talk about.
You said you were going to start off with a fun thing. I had no idea where it was going to go. I want to go back quickly because I'm just quite curious to this discussion that we were having about clothing. So you grew up wearing a jacket and tie on the airplane or at a baseball game. When did that change?
60s. Everything changed in the 60s. Basically, during the Vietnam War and Kennedy's assassination. The 60s overturned everything. The baby boomers, that is us, born after World War II, for the next 18 years or whatever the cutoff date is, screwed up everything. Not me, by the way. I knew my generation was out to lunch morally and intellectually. When I was at Columbia in the early 70s in graduate school, I believed that I was, with one exception, I knew one other kid, I believed I was the only one who had my values. I would say I was as alone in my values at Columbia in the 70s as you were at Harvard last year. Well, isn't that amazing when you think about it? That's a long time ago. And but I couldn't believe it. I remember it's very hard to get me depressed. I almost got depressed when I watched what was going on, when I saw students take over professors' offices and president of the college office and dean's offices, just take them over. I remember thinking, I don't understand. I just thought, I don't understand what's happening.
Well, I find it to be the epitome of pomposity to do that. Oh, you think you know better.
Oh, of course they do. I mean, never trust anyone over 30.
You're 17, 18, 19, or 20 years old, and you're going into a
unfortunately,
I have the right to sit on your carpet because you're stupid and I'm enlightened.
The World War II generation spoiled the baby boomers. That's the tragedy. A great generation screwed up in raising the kids, because you say now, and I said when I was your age, they gave them everything they didn't have and gave them nothing that they did have. They didn't give them America. They didn't give them religion. They didn't give them traditional values. When my generation of kids would say, never trust anyone over 30, I remember thinking, are they out of their effing minds? Never trust anyone over 30. First of all, I just thought of all the adults that I trusted, some of the teachers that I admired from high school. And then I thought even broader, I trust Moses. Guy's 3,000 years old.
It's really amazing that you grew up with that. And I feel sad for people who don't. You asked me, I think it was last episode or the episode before, do I wish that I was raised with a religious outlook? And I answered no, because I think that everything in my life led me to where I am now. But as I said, I'm certainly going to raise my kids that way, because it's really a magical thing having religion in your life. It's like I think I said this, it's like putting on a pair of glasses and with a beautiful tint to them. You see things so much differently and for the better. You must do that religion hour.
I think I will.
And I still think you should do the New Testament, because look at this conversation that we had. Look at that. I mean, that's really important.
Well, I'll tell you
stuff.
an interesting thing.
People aren't talking about that.
My wife, who was a Jew, but came from an evangelical Christian, beautiful background. So we started reading the New Testament together at one point, and I would raise issues, and they were all brand new to her.
Yes.
Wait, but here's the interest. There's a total flip side. She is one of the editors of my Rational Bible Commentary. She, not having been raised Jewish, she raises issues I never heard. And it's one of the reasons it's so good, the Rational Bible. It incorporates the non-Jew's instinctive reaction to something. But I raised questions that were just, to me, common sense, which is what she raises with the Torah issue.
Well, you just made an argument for yourself as to why you should do that.
Oh, that's it. I know. All right.
And at the very least, we were talking about putting facts in people's arsenals that they can, carry out into the world. Even if you just do that, even if you just do like a sort of history religious hour on the New Testament, I promise you it will be, that alone would have been worth it. Because, yes, I talk about the Rational Bible all the time on this program and with other people. Yes, I became religious through the Rational Bible, but in addition, I feel like I understand history so much more.
Well, we have to end, and I want to leave you with a happy thought about you not being raised in a religious world. Mm-hmm. Coming to religion as an adult is a high.
Yeah, don't I know it?
It's a risk, because if you can't depend on your kid ever doing that. You search for truth. You're rare. But if you do come to it as an adult, it's tremendous.
It's changed my life.
Now, I have a great question for another time. Mm-hmm. Can I get you, and by the way, it's not important to me, I'm just asking this, can I get you to fall in love with classical music?
Oh, gosh. I was talking about that with Dr. Marmer, because it's very important to me, not in the shallow, I'm trying to seem sophisticated way that I referred to people earlier in this broadcast having. I really want to be a worldly person. And I'm a bit ashamed of myself that I am not conversant in the topic of classical music, that I haven't really.
Right.
So yes, the answer is yes.
You correct me.
What? What was so funny?
It's so bloody impressive what you said. By the way,
really?
I don't judge you at all. You should know about it, but if you don't, I never fell in love with ballet. I tried. I subscribe to the New York City.
Yeah, but classical music is a benchmark of Western civilization.
All right, but if you don't emotionally respond, you won't emotionally respond.
No,
you have to emotionally respond.
I haven't taken the time to see if I could emotionally respond.
That's the reason I posed the question. Can I get you to fall in love? I said fall in love, not know about.
I did a segment on my show Timeless the other day about music and how much it's changed. And I do think one of the reasons, I mean, I've probably listened to, you're going to shudder when I say this, I've probably listened to like 5 classical music songs in my entire life. When I do hear it, it sounds slow and so sorry, Dennis, a little bit boring to me because I have grown up listening to this, as I call it, self-aggrandizing, loud, energetic music.
At your age, I rarely like the slow movements.
Really?
If it makes you feel any better.
Oh, we should talk about that. That's
yes.
very interesting.
Correct.
Write to me at julie@julie-hartman.com. I've been so bad about responding to people. I am so sorry, but I love hearing from you. And I know I say this all the time, but I send them to Dennis. And shout out to our dear friend in Germany, who I didn't respond to because I'm awful. I've been so busy. I will respond to you. William.
That was
this
some
young
letter.
man.
I have the chills when I think of that letter.
And I just want to share with the viewers, it's so funny. He wrote to me, and it was just like, it was a marvelous letter about how much he admires Dennis and the state of affairs in Germany. And he said, you know, Julie, I would offer myself up for marriage, but I'm gay.
And live 6,000 miles away.
And live 6,000 miles away.
There were 2 problems.
And he said, I know Dennis would love this.
Yeah, I loved it. I did love it. It's correct. See you next week, everybody.
See ya. And Happy New Year.